Hey, B. Listen, we got to get into some things, okay? But before we do that, y'all know I'm not talking unless you giving me likes, you commenting, and you subscribing and sharing. You hear me? Because we got to talk about it. So listen, first of all, y'all know Miss Porsha Williams has dropped her new YouTube channel, and it is Porsha for Real, similar to her Instagram page. So if y'all want to go over there and get into the full tea, y'all can get into it. Now I'm gonna recap it, and then we're gonna get into a bit of video from Porsha about some of this. But girl, I feel like it's getting a little messy. But I think Porsha. I know y'all finna chew me, and that's fine. But I feel like Porsha just trying to, if Porsha don't keep it real any other time, Porsha just trying to tell what she's familiar with. Okay, now Porsha, we do want other things from you aside from just Real Housewives of Atlanta, because if we keep getting too much ATL, I feel like it may become annoying like Dr. Heavenly. Okay, so you said you was gonna show us some other stuff, so make sure that you're giving us the vlog type stuff as well, and not just solely Atlanta, okay? But Porsha had a video that was going viral, and it was talking about her, from her upcoming video that she just dropped over on her YouTube channel, Porsha for Real. And she talks about how a housewife gave some information to Kenya. Now, guess what? Kenya came and spoke out. Then Porsha came right behind her and spoke out too. And we're going to get into all of that. But before we do, y'all know I got to go ahead and I have to recap some of what Porsha said. Then we'll get into a clip or whatnot of what Miss Porsha said. And then we'll get into more. All right. So make sure you're liking up the video and let's get started. First of all, Porsha opens up this video by talking about Angela. Okay. Miss Angela Oakley. What Porsha says about Angela is that she thinks she's a great addition. And can I say that, I think Angela kind of is a good addition. Now, we be clocking Angela about stuff, but I like a little bit of the messiness. Like, I am liking the group for the most part, It's just the sour portion of missing somebody. But aside from that, I mean, I think the season is going pretty good. First 5 episodes, we'll see how it's going to go after Kenya Moore is no longer a part of the season. But it's so much to look forward to, especially with the fallout between Kelly and Britannica, as well as Shamia and Britannica, and the whole conversation with Porsha and Shamia. So we have to get into that, right? So I think there's still more things to see. And Porsha kind of alludes in her video on YouTube. She talks about how Angela really goes through some stuff. It appears her and Charles really get into some things. So I don't know, but we are going to check it out. All right. Now, let's keep going. So she does say that Angela is a great addition to the show, even though she may act a little weird. Okay. Porsha highlights the moment when Angela told Charles, like, hey, Porsha said she knew some information about you. She knew some information about you, or whatever. She heard about you. And Portia's like, now, why would you tell him that when me and you have already talked about that? So basically, at the table, when they're sitting down at the bank, and everybody is like sharing things and they're asking questions and people are telling more stuff about themselves. When they get to Angela is not really trying to keep it real. She ain't trying to answer no questions, or she's really giving the ladies fluff. And Porsha is just like, BITCH, like, that's what we doing? Okay, bet. So that's when Porsha said, I know something about Charles. Now, something about that told me that Porsha was playing with her, but that scene, that Porsha was so hilarious to me. I thought that was just some of the funniest shit. Okay, I'm like, I don't know if Porsha know anything about Charles or not, but I'm loving it because Angela's like, what the hell? What you know? What you got? Loved it. Okay. But anywho, she says that Angela banged on the glass. So shango, lango, lango, bang, bang. Okay. And when she banged on that glass, she was like, what you know about Charles? What you know about me? My lip gloss is popping. My lip gloss is, my lip gloss, girl. Okay. Let me put me a little piece of lip gloss on my lip. What you know about? What you know? What you know? My lip. Okay. So that's what it was. She was like, what you know about Charles? Because she wanted to know what you know. And Portia like, girl, I don't know nothing about that man. I don't know nothing about Charles. I don't know shit about Simon. Didn't know that. I didn't know nothing about fucking Dennis, and didn't know a damn thing about Cordell. So if you haven't paid attention, girl, I don't know shit. Okay, I don't know nothing about the men, so I don't even know why the hell you would listen to me anyway. I don't know shit about my own husband. How am I know about yours? Okay, hollering. Okay, so this is what Porsha is saying. So you shouldn't even took what I said. to be that serious. You should have took it with a grain of salt, because bitch, I don't know. Okay. So Porsha says that she felt so excited about this new relationship that she was developing with Kenya. Yes, they've had their things in the past, but she sees that Kenya has been making, some changes and stuff. And she was really excited to know that they're going to be in a space where they're not really going to be beefing, right? They were going to be good. They were going to watch the other girls likely beef it out or whatever. And that unfortunately didn't really get to happen. She does talk about how proud of Kenya she is with her business ventures and stuff. And to be able to open this salon was like a really big deal because, they have to provide for their daughters. Like, they make money so they could take care of these kids and stuff. So she was very supportive of Kenya for that. Now, she does say that when it came down to Brit and Kenya, she was never really aware of she wasn't there for the conversation about the ring. And when she did hear about it, everybody pretty much told her that it wasn't that deep and Kenya wasn't being rude, nasty, none of that. She wasn't being shady at all. But for some reason, that's how Brit felt. But that's not what Porsha got from it. Porsha was like, you know what? I just feel like, listen, it's a preconceived notion. Okay. I think this woman has a preconceived notion when it comes down to Kenya and stuff, things that she's seen on television. And, that's really what it was. And honestly, we already saw that on the episode, and we saw where Brit actually acknowledged that it was a preconceived notion. And with her being a newbie, she probably think that she being punked because she's the new chick. Because according to Porsha and out of Brit's own mouth, Brit felt defensive. Oh, I'm sorry, not defensive, but dismissive. She felt like Kenya was being very dismissive towards her. And I'm like, okay, yeah, it's giving preconceived, it's giving internalizing, and it's giving poor relationships with women or something. Because ain't nobody that's Kenya acknowledged you every time. So much so that she even highlighted how beautiful you looked at times. You didn't want to hear that because you wanted an issue with her. For some reason, I think that you were so intimidated by Kenya to the point that Brit wanted a relationship with Kenya. She wanted a friendship with Kenya. And Kenya wasn't really making space for that, even though I feel like Kenya was making space for that. You were just too intimidated. But anywho, so Porsha says that it was a lot of back and forth at the table. She says even though the show only gave us a portion of it, she's like, girl, they argued probably for like 2 hours going back and forth. So it was a lot of that, happening. She's like, it happened about, 2 hours or whatever. Brit was saying stuff, Kenya was saying stuff or whatever. And then she talks about how Kenya ended up calling Brit a peasant. Like a peasant can't come from a queen. And she thinks that's what triggered Brit, right? She thinks that's what triggered Brit, just like Pistol triggered Kenya. But I'm like, well, not really. I think that she was triggered when Kenya laughed at her when she says, I didn't send for you. And Kenya said, thank you for using my words and what I said. Thank you, girl, for using that. We appreciate you. Hilarious. I think that's what really, she was losing the battle. She was losing it at the time. And so that's what got her. So she also talks about how Brit got upset because Kenya kept pretty much, I felt, paying her dust. Kenya kept paying her dust, kept being like, okay, girl, like, yeah, anyway, twirling on my haters, doing whatever. And, clearly that is something that is going to irritate Brit when she feels like she's not getting the attention that she is seeking from a person. You wanted to feel special with the hug and stuff. You wanted her to give you more than just a pat on the back, and you did it on more than one occasion. So the fact that Kenya would pay you dust like you're a nobody or something made you feel away because you worked so hard to appear as though you are somebody. So it really, made her feel away. Porsha talks about how Brit started getting in her ghetto bag, which was interesting because Porsha's like, well, listen, I don't even know this lady to be like that. Like, ain't she from Roswell, Georgia? Like, girl, you ain't never even been about that life, okay? From what I've witnessed of you and from what I've heard about you, you really ain't that girl. So for you to even be talking about gun, this, pistol, this, that, and the other, like, girl, stop. Then Porsha says that when everybody felt like Brit was talking about whips, she thinks she was talking about her whip. And I'm like, well, why are you even mentioning your whip and pistols? So you saying you're going to do a drive-by on Kenya? Like, what is that about? Like, that's crazy. I don't know what that is, Porsha, with a whip. And we think it would. I mean, I don't know. Only Brit could tell us what she meant. Okay. So then Porsha says that she didn't hear her say anything about the pistol. She said Shamia didn't hear it. She didn't hear it. So everybody was wondering, like, did she say it? how was it said? If that's true that she said it, how was it said? Like, are y'all sure? Did you hear it? Did you? So they all saying that they didn't hear that. Even Kelly tried to say she didn't hear it when she was standing right there. But anywho, so Porsha says Kenya wanted Brit gone, period. She wanted her out the way. She like, Miss Ma'am, you got to go. We're going to have to get rid of her. She even says that she mentioned something about Angela, too. The way Angela, I guess, was banging on the table and doing whatever, or banging on the glass, and how she was talking. But, you know, they kind of laughed it off. But it seems like she was for real about Brit, because Porsha says that she did give her a phone call and talks about how she was on the phone with Kenya damn near every day. So for her to sit up there and say that Angela was the only person that checked on her, you know, made Porsha feel away, because she like, girl, I was on the phone with you every day talking about the incident. Okay. And I even agreed, like, yes, if she's saying that and putting threats out like that and she's doing stuff like that, like, yeah, she should have been suspended. So it appears that Porsha has felt how we have felt about the situation. So now I'm interested in seeing, how did you and Miss Britannica become so close after a while? Did she have your back when it came down to Shamia or something? How did you guys become pretty good friends? I'm just wondering that. Maybe she showed up and had your back when other people were pouncing on you, potentially. But it seems like Porsha agrees that's something that Brit should have been reprimanded when it came to that situation, right? She did say that after hearing everything Kenya said and how Kenya felt about it, she gave Miss Brit a call. And then when she talked to Brit, she said Brit was immediately remorseful. The same way she walked into Shamia's house, all remorseful, okay, because somebody gave her that heads up. And Porsha said she was one of those people where she had to tell her, like, listen, that's not how we operate over here, okay? That's not how we do things. She said that after talking to her, she was even more remorseful and wanted to make sure that she give Kenya an apology. Okay. So Porsha told Kenya, like, hey, you know, Brit wants to apologize to you. And she said, Kenya was like, well, she can stick it up her ass. Because she can put it up somewhere, okay, where the sun don't shine, because I'm not accepting no motherfucking apology from my ass. I'm done. No, it ain't happening. Okay. I don't know who she think I don't play like that. I'm Kenya Moore. No. Right? So then Porsha said, well, listen, I think that, you know, you should uninvite her. Like, if you haven't told her that she's not invited and you're not really rocking with her and you're not open to accepting her apology, she's gonna show up to your event, and I think you should uninvite her. Now, I did hear, and I said that in my review, Porsha did highlight that she should uninvite her as they were walking out the door. She said it to Kenya. Kenya just continued to twirl and said she twirl on her haters. So it did sound to me, from what I took from it, you know, Kenya's plan was to embarrass her in her face. It was to embarrass her, but Brit ended up walking out. So she had every intentions of having that woman come there and embarrassing her in her face, okay? And I don't disagree. I feel like, do it. You want to disrespect me in my face, I'm going to disrespect you. But when we get to the very last slide is where I think the line should have been drawn. I think that it should have been two slides, you're out. Two poster boards, you're done. We didn't need the third one, because the third one definitely ended up being 3 strikes, you're out for sure. You know, I think 2 was good enough. We didn't need to get to the list. We saw the fillers. Everybody on the show gets fillers, so that wasn't much of a read. But the insurance fraud asshole, yes, okay, that was something that was interesting. Okay, that was like, let's come forward. But the other portion, yeah. You could have just listed companies or affiliates that she has, but not necessarily exposing any images. And I'll just say, what kind of video vixen is you? Video vixen, what type of vixen are we talking about? Are we talking about music vixen, or are we talking about a different type? I'll let you guys do your own research and figure that out. But she just it could have been all so simple. And it just took one slide to change the trajectory of everything. Okay. So anywho, Porsha says that she knew that that Kenya was going to get Brit back. She's like, I knew she was going to get her back. Retaliation. I knew she was going to get her back. Okay. I knew it. Because this is how Kenya operates. You'll be a fool to think you're finna cross Kenya and think that they not finna get their get back, period. Okay. Porsha also goes on to highlight that one of the housewives gave this information over to Kenya, to which Kenya did respond. But before we get to Kenya's response and Porsha's response to Kenya, I want us to check out a portion of Porsha's video, okay? And for the people, I'm not playing the whole video, so you'll have to go over to Porsha's channel, which is Porsha for Real, to watch the video in its entirety and get what you choose to get from the video, okay? I'm breaking it down based on what I took from the video, okay? But I want us to hear where Porsha kind of talks about the Kenya Moore portion and the retaliation of it all.
At the end of the day, we all know Kenya, like we all know Porsha, and we know that Kenya, out of all of us, is going to retaliate. We knew that it was going to happen. In that, not that the poster boys was going to happen, none of that, but we knew that she was going to try to expose Brit. In that scene with me and Kelly and Kenya, she told us right then, which I'm not sure if they played, but she told us right then, no, I'm going to expose that bitch. Everybody needs to know who she is. And we were like, okay, but at the end of the day, on this show, you know, when it comes to exposing somebody, it could happen on a girls' trip, it could happen, you know, at a luncheon, it could happen when it's, you know, a closed setting with just us. And at that point, it is what it is, because this show will expose people. You know what I'm saying? So
thank you, Porsha, because I did say that in my video. I'm here for the exposing because that is what we get from reality TV. It was more so a how it was done. You know what I'm saying? And if it's a publicly out there, I feel like if it was publicly out there, because I never saw it, I don't know, but they're saying that it already existed. I would think one could share a link, right? In a group chat, I would think a link could be shared if it's out there. Or is that still considered RP of some sort? Or SA, let some tell it. Okay? Or I'll just give you the name of the website. You go look it up for yourself. Okay, we in the group setting. Child, it could have been so.
I knew that she was gonna have to get her lick back, but I just didn't think it would be like this. I'm not gonna lie. Like, and what's so crazy when I watched the episode was there was a particular person who was like, I can't believe, all of us were like, I can't believe this happened. I can't believe she got this information. What I'm telling you is, I know for a fact that one of these housewives who is still on the show is the one who gave Kenya a big part of that nude information. So fast forward to the actual spy event. I'm at the event and I'm like, okay, this is gorgeous. I mean, Kenya did a phenomenal job. Her Bronner Brothers part was so bomb, like the styles and everything, like it was all top tier. And I think she did such an amazing job as an entrepreneur to execute what she executed and to bring amongst this many people to celebrate what she has accomplished.
Yeah.
But she tore it down at the same time. Ooh. And that is the part that I don't understand. To put that,
I'm with you, Porsha, on that. You know, it's it pains me so bad that we are here and we are at this place because nobody is talking about the beautiful salon that Kenya opened up. And when it is discussed, it's discussed as a passing by type of comment. Like it's giving, you know how when you write your sentence and you put a comma, then you put this and then another comma, but whatever's in between the commas really don't matter. The sentence will still be finished. So that's what it's like. Like that's the portion that it's at. So at Kenya's salon, it's a beautiful salon, beautiful, gorgeous, this and that. So she ended up going, we didn't even need that portion. So at Kenya's salon, so she ended up doing it's like it definitely overshadowed everything. Girl, I still, my mouth is still on the floor a little bit. And it's not about so much as Brit being exposed. That's not the thing for me. It's just the fact that a bag could be fumbled like this. And at this time, I am thinking to myself, like, yo, we need to have Kenya back on the next season because I need to see how she's finna merge back into this group, back into these friendships with these ladies and stuff. But because this is the 5th episode of the season and they may go on to have like 10 more episodes or maybe even 13 more episodes, we may be so far removed from what happened with this that everybody's going to be okay at that point with the new cast that we have. That ain't nobody probably gonna be thinking about Kenya no more. Let me know your thoughts, honey. Let me know, but let's keep going.
How much money, time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears, and you're gonna let another come and talk about her and do what you did and mess up your own prize, your own moment, was just heartbreaking for, I think, even the people who were supporting her.
Yeah,
it was just very difficult to see. It really was. Because Kenya started her speech about, you know, this place and how hard it was to get, and all of a sudden it turned so dark. It was almost just standing there watching Kenya talk at this event felt like it was so bright and beautiful and that a cloud had come and that it had got like physically like my eyesight felt like this as Kenya started showing these poster boards. And each poster board that she showed, they could not show it on the show, which I am so glad and thankful to Bravo for blurring it out and cutting out majority of what despicable things Kenya said about Brit. I'm so glad they took it out. And I just think that at the end of the day, because Brit was being very, very honest and very remorseful, and she, honestly, what they didn't show too, Brit owned her past when it came to me, the part that she wanted to talk about. So she's living in her truth. Her husband know her life, and it is what it is. He married her. He loves her. He has respect for her. And you meet people where they are, and you don't judge people by their past in that way. And so, and I feel like that's the same thing with Kenya. At this point, I wanted to love Kenya, and I want to love Kenya. I want to have a good relationship with Kenya. I'm not gonna judge her by her past. I don't want her to judge me by my past. I want her to meet me where we are. And I just felt like all of us, the whole cast, felt like it was awful. And everybody started to walk out when she started to show some of the really vulgar pictures at the time. All of us that were blown up like this big. I'm talking about huge. Like, I mean, I was like, what printing company printed this out? Like, who even did this for her? Who? I mean, I was like, she, do this got an extra jumbo printer at her house? How did you do this? She had a whole team with her when she swirled down hell, baby, because how did you get all of this stuff printed out? Who did all this research? Who did it? Besides the housewife that gave you the footage, who else did all this? Oh my
not
God.
the housewife that gave her. So it was footage? A housewife gave her the footage?
Y'all walked out. We all left. And we all just felt like, you know what? We're done with the situation. Production, y'all need to deal with Kenya. I felt like production, y'all need to deal with Kenya, and y'all need to deal with Brit. Both of them need to be, this situation has to be handled on y'all's end. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I really didn't want to say too much on either side because I'm just confused with all of it. I'm like, this is just too much. This just done hit the damn fan. And I just feel like at the end of the day, no one can be online when it comes to the Brit and Kenya situation playing a victim. Both women played a part.
Ooh,
and I feel,
see, Porsha, I'm okay, Porsha. Porsha said I'm coming to get my fans back. Okay, Porsha said I'm coming back to get what I have lost. All right, maybe not getting that marriage back, but I'm coming back to get, okay, my fans. All right, she said she done snatched her peach back. Now she bringing the juice, and she trying to get these fans to sip this peach juice. Okay, Porsha said she coming back to get her fans, but you over there still being friends with Brit, though. And we need you to answer that. Why is you friends with her like that? Now, granted, you could be friends with whoever you want to. And it's not even so much as the Kenya situation, but I wonder what took place between she and Shamia, and then now you're buddy with her. Okay? And I don't know what's going to happen, but I am wondering, was this a time where you did not have Shamia's back? Okay? And you over here being friends with her? I feel like Brit probably bringing a further wedge in between you and Shamia. But anywho,
feel like there is a place where they can move on, but that place has to be agreed upon by both of them. They have to decide that they both want to sit down and have a conversation. And I'm not saying have no apology for just camera. I feel like these two women can sit down and talk and say, you know what? I hit you where your trauma was. And Kenya can say, I hit you where your trauma was. Hell, Brit mentioned in the pistol.
Porsha, you need to go. And I know you're saying that this is not, it shouldn't just be for the cameras and stuff, but I feel like some of it should be for the cameras. I feel like too much has happened on the show for us to not be able to witness it. And this is something that production should take heed to. Allow them the opportunity to be on the show and for Kenya to actually be remorseful versus y'all just automatically ceasing everything and not wanting to film with her. Hopefully she'll get the opportunity to come back and have her conversation with Brit at the reunion. But at the same time, the way things are going with her response to Andy's co-host, even though she wasn't talking about Andy, it was the co-host, I'm concerned. And with her coming down to the YouTube to share her thoughts, I don't know if that could put her further in trouble of some sort or what, to where Bravo may be like, we're done with her. I don't know. I just hope she handles it carefully. But, to us fans, it looks like there's an opportunity for Kenya to come back. But I don't know what these people think behind the scenes. But let's keep going.
So even though she wasn't trying to, even though she didn't, point it at Kenya, she didn't show a weapon or any of that, I guess maybe just mentioning a pistol, it could be triggering for Kenya. Absolutely. Okay? So that may be a place where, you know what, I don't like that. And I feel like what Kenya did is a place where Brit can feel like you hit me in a trauma place. And then talk about it, figure it out, and move on. So that's my hope for both of them, that they can get together one day and acknowledge what they both did. Can I say lick for lick? I don't know. I don't know if it's lick for lick, but I feel like they both got to get back in some kind of way. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I feel like they can sit down, have a conversation, and I feel like they can move on. I feel like there's a place for it.
I think they can move on. I do agree. In my personal opinion, I think, as Porsha said, y'all both will have to be open to moving forward because it is information out there that's about Brit. What she put out there was information that was about you. It was already out there. But to put it on display in the way that you did was kind of messed up a bit. Because the people that did not know that it was out there definitely now know that it's out there and got a chance to see it. And also, yes, Brit did, make a threat. And although she may not have had, I don't know what she had on her. She didn't show it. I'll say that. I don't know if she had it in a purse or what, but she didn't show, I didn't see it. But I think that there is room for both ladies to have that conversation and to move forward. But it would be nice if we as fans could watch it, considering that y'all, Bravo, use this situation to get us invested, to get us to watch and tune in, and then to just snatch it from us. I think it's whack. So I would like to be able to see that. I would like to be able to see y'all have the conversation. But shit, I don't know. Like Porsha said, they got to be at their place, and neither one of them seem to be at their place.
But I think in the instance, this is the most controversial issue that Kenya has ever done. This episode is the most controversial episode that Housewives have ever had. I feel like the conversation has to be that more serious.
I don't think it's as more most. I don't think so. Conversation. I don't think so, because I feel like it's kind of up there when we learned about the situation with you, Phaedra, and Kandi. I feel like it's kind of up there. I think they're both still up there. Now, I will say maybe Porsha's right, because the fact that photos were actually shown could make it a notch up. But for me, it's like it's information that was already out there, right? And I feel like if information is already out there, I feel like your life can't be more ruined than what it is, because it was already out there. But when you put certain allegations out on a person, that could change a person's entire life. Everything. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it could just change them, like change a lot. You could lose money, this, that, and the other. Whereas with her situation, it was kind of already out there. If they didn't look deep enough, that's on them. But to just throw, I don't know. Y'all let me know. Y'all may feel different, and that's fine. But if they up there together,
is that more honest? And I think that we can find a place to move on. I think that Kenya should come back next season and do that. And Brit should sit down, be open enough to hear her as well. So we'll see what happens between the two of them. But, we lost Kenya for the rest of the season after that. And it was very unfortunate, because I had great plans for us, you know what I'm saying? And I still have great plans for us when she comes back next year. Or if she comes back next year. I hope she comes back next year. But we'll just see what ends up happening with that. And I didn't want anybody fired. I definitely wanted just for somebody to be maybe reprimanded, maybe some episodes or suspended or whatever.
Right.
But
there's
a housewife.
Porsha, not you coming down here talking with some sense, B.I.T. See, I know you be over here tuned into the channel. So, hey, B. Okay? I know you be over here tuned the hell into the channel. So, hey, B. Because a lot of what you're saying is a lot of what I've already said. And I definitely agree. And I appreciate the fact that Porsha is saying this when she's closer to production. And obviously, in my personal opinion, I do feel like they think highly of her, because they could have probably released her from her own contract after they signed her on as a married woman with her entire lifestyle, and then weeks later to find out that she's divorced and they're not really going to get that. And they've been kind of steering in other directions away from her having real conversations about her divorce and stuff. So I feel like to keep her on and stuff, I mean, obviously they like her. When I think Kelly was on Watch What Happens Live, and Andy asked her something about Porsha, and I think she could have said it was fake, or Porsha something about her personality, Andy immediately swooped right on in to defend Porsha and say, and I think those things make a good recipe for a good housewife, right? So he was having her back. When I tell you Andy loves him some Porsha, I don't care what nobody say, he loves him some Porsha. So the network really like her. Now, how much they take her opinion into consideration, I don't know. Just like with Kandi Burruss, I think the network loved them some Kandi Burruss. She got multiple shows over there on that network. She was able to stay as long as she wanted until she said she was going to leave the show, right? When she didn't want Phaedra on that show, they didn't bring her on that show. Okay, you either gonna lose me or you just gonna be okay with losing her. So I feel like they might take what Porsha's saying into consideration, as long as things work out legally to where they are not tied to something. You know what I'm saying? So we shall see. I don't know. And I also think it all depends on how Kenya handles this particular moment. But let's keep going.
Again, who is not the same one, but there's a housewife that's still on the show right now that went several times to try to get Kenya fired. And that was crazy to me because how are you gonna do that? How are you gonna go? I've never called for somebody to get fired. I mean, at the end of the day, we all working, trying to make a living for our kids and our families. I would never, at the end of the day, call for nobody to get fired, okay? But this person went behind closed doors and asked for Kenya to be fired multiple times. And this person is still on the show. And
BIT, why am I thinking about Cynthia Bailey? I don't want to put that on Cynthia, but I'm being honest to myself, and that's the person that popped in my head. Multiple times. I feel like, didn't Nene say something like that when it came to her? Did she say something like that? But Porsha, let's not love, because remember, you had sent that text message out to the group that Kandi had clocked you about and said that you was, I guess, trying to get Nene off. You didn't want nobody to film with her, and then turned around and said, it's been so hard without you. Remember that? So I don't know, girl, but let's keep going.
It's really funny because, yeah, anyway, we'll say that for later. That'll come out later. But let's sip on that. Put a pin in that, too.
Who you talking about, though? Because her and Cynthia are also in such a good place right now, I'm starting to question who else could that person have been. Trying to get her fired. I mean, they ain't even been on the show long enough, but I would think either Angela or Drew. It's always coming back to Angela or Drew for me. Because Phaedra's not on there right now. So what? Child, that was messy. That was a bit messy, Miss Porsha, but we do appreciate it. Now I want to get into what Miss Kenya Moore had to say to Porsha about everything that was going on. So let's get over here and check out what was said.
A housewife still on the show right now who gave Kenya that nude information. No, I'm going to expose that. Everybody needs to know who she is.
So that's what Porsha says, okay? That somebody gave Kenya this information. Kenya says, absolutely no one on the show gave me anything. Stop using my situation for clickbait. Okay, that is what Kenya says, all right? Now, after Kenya says that, and I just want to double back to see if Kenya says anything else, because I'll tell you one thing, Miss Porsha Williams did. Okay, Porsha Williams came down to the social media and she said some things to say. So let me see if Kenya said anything else. Okay, she hasn't. Well, Porsha came, and this is what Porsha says. Porsha says, that's a lie. We talked, first of all, let's go back here. She put this up and then said, next slide. All right. On the next slide, she says, that's a lie. We talked day and night, and I personally went to network/production and fought for you before you showed her underage. Girl, she was underage. That's crazy. Before you show her underage explicit pics. Wow. And you know what's crazy? Her underage explicit pics. One, I'm wondering, was she really underage? And number two, that was something that Miss Brit was bragging about as a teenager. Yeah, I did Men's Magazine. I did this, I did that as a teenager. Child, that's crazy. Let's keep going. So then Porsha says, I also went after as well because I was hurt. You had to leave. I checked on you because I cared and care. I'm not your enemy, Kenya. And then she says, my full statement is on YouTube. I'm not your enemy. Okay, so that is what Porsha had to say over there to the child. That's what she said. That's what Porsha had to say over there on the page. She said she's not her enemy. I'm shook because it was underage pics. Are we sure it was underage? Granted, it doesn't, it matters, and then it doesn't matter because showing that was kind of like, that's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? But it makes it even more crazier if it was underage, baby. Porsha, how you gonna say you're not that lady enemy and then turn around and clock the T of the photos being underage? Girl, I am fucking done. Let me get the hell out. girl, y'all is showing out for Sweet 16 a little too much, okay? Y'all leave y'all thoughts and comments down below. That is all that I have for you guys at this time. Of course, I am Jami, that's me, okay? The girl, look, let me go ahead and shout out Porsha, little YouTube. Porsha for real, period. Y'all gonna have to go over there and get some of the tea, okay? Because she ain't finna copyright me. But anywho, that's all I got for you guys at this time. I'm Jami, that's me. Like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Jami, that's me. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Yeah, tell him I preach to the choir. Stand with my feet to the fire. Give all the glory to God. Stand in the midst of these haters, I'm silent, nobody can stop me. Just gotta check in my notification, them numbers hit like it's a proxy. Cashed out at the ATM, and the ATL, they done made a gym. I've been kicking doors like the ATF, got them trying to clone me like Agent Smith. Game time, I invaded gym, high elevated, I could face the rim. Putting shots up, I got laser focus, about to take it over.